Great, thanks so much, Mike. Hello, everyone. Happy Friday. We'll go ahead and get started. We're going to give you a company and product overview for Ideal Networks today. And my colleague, Todd, our technical support engineer, will be jumping in with some live demos. So we wanted to make sure you know who Ideal Networks is, what products we offer, what these products do, a little bit of application review as to where these products are used, with some key product overview, support, and live demonstration with a Q&A session at the end. Okay, so who is Ideal Networks? Hopefully you're familiar with the name Ideal, but Ideal Networks is a 1.5-year-old independent business with dedicated resources, a focus on innovation. We were previously a division for decades and decades of Ideal Industries. So you might know us under that umbrella, or you might know us as the new company. We are a low voltage tester manufacturer. Our corporate headquarters are in London, over in England, and we also have offices in France, Germany, and Asia. So we work with ADI globally. Our North American US headquarters are in Rockaway, New Jersey. Our vision or mission statement is proof of performance, increasing productivity without boundaries. That's a mouthful. Let's see how we get there. So what products do we offer? As I said, we are a manufacturer of testers for low voltage cable, network, telecom testing. Those testers are used on copper, fiber, passive cable, active networks, PoE, industrial Ethernet, and security cameras. So testers have many essential uses. What do these products do? They check everything from the cable itself. Is it wired correctly? How long is the cable, or where on the cable is a fault? Does the cable support required network speed or meet required performance standards? Is there PoE, power over Ethernet? If it's an active cable, are devices connected? Can I get to the internet? Is network traffic at normal levels? Have devices been added or removed? Is my device, like a camera, set up and working properly? So when you're checking all of these things, where might you be using the tester? A really common application would be new cable installation, whether you're testing as you go, each cable that you install, or at the end of the project doing the complete testing or certification. Another common scenario is moves, adds, and changes, existing installation where you just need to run a few more cables or check something. Discovery mode. So every tester, no matter its function, has ability to tell you things about your infrastructure. It could be as simple as, is there cable behind the wall? If so, how long is it? Is it active? And does it have PoE? Diagnostics. Is there a wiring error? Is length an issue? Is there a short or a break? Is it not active, or is there not connectivity to a device or the internet? All of these are essential functions, and you would use our testers in all sorts of environments: commercial, residential, industrial, transit, AV, security, smart building, integration, education, IT, service, and troubleshooting, just to name a few. So how do you choose the right tester? Questions that we would ask to qualify a tester need would be, what are you using now for testers? So we have a starting point. Do you need a report? Do you need to test to an industry standard? And if so, which standard? Do you need a cable connectivity manufacturer warranty for the installation? Do you also need to test fiber? Do you need to check device, PoE, traffic on the network? Do you offer service and troubleshooting? Do you install or maintain cameras? So going through those questions, which are everything from the physical layer to network connectivity and performance, leads you to the solution for your testing need. And that's our job, to help you find the right tester. So this chart is available, and on the front side on the left, it shows the range of the products, and the sections below that allow you to choose based on specific features that you need. And the back side divides that further into sections where you can quickly choose, okay, I know I need fiber, and find the testers that are under the fiber testing category. And then taking that a little farther, for example, if you need to test fiber, we also have a document to help you find the right product. And just like on the previous chart where you have a range of testers, and from left to right, they vary greatly in feature, functionality, and even cost. So with the fiber testing, thank you, Scott, we range from the basic entry-level products, like just finding a visual fault, checking loss, to full TIA ISO fiber certification. Okay, so now we want to focus on just a couple of key products that we get asked about a lot and offer a live demo on each of those. First product, starting at the beginning level, oh, a little animation there, at the beginning level of our tester family is our Pov Pro. So this is a verification level tester, but it has some really great functions. It has all the base level features of the VDV2 Pro, which is our most popular wire mapper, and ADI has sold tons of VDV2 Pro testers. So we took all those features and added new features, specifically hard addressing the PoE growth that's in our industry today. So what this tester does, and Scott's going to give you a quick demo, it's used in all these industries, and it's really essential to know that you have the correct level of PoE to keep your devices up and running. Go ahead, Scott.
Okay, so for instance, here's a practical demonstration of it. Basically, in this circumstance, we might have an airline message board that isn't functioning properly, and we know from the specifications that in order to function, that message board requires 75 watts. So essentially, if we take the Pov Pro and connect it into that Ethernet connection, we can determine whether or not there is 75 watts being supplied there. If there isn't 75 watts, then we can take the Pov Pro, take it back to the Ethernet switch that is providing the power, or the passive injector that's providing the power, and do the testing there to determine whether it's the power sourcing equipment that's at issue or the cabling. For instance, if copper-clad aluminum cabling was installed, ultimately this would have a dramatic effect on the capability of the cabling. So essentially, when you first connect the tester and to a piece of cabling, it's going to do some diagnostics to determine whether or not it's connected to the network, show you voltage, show you wattage, and let you know whether it pass or fail on the 802.11 or 802.3 AF, AT, or BT PoE standards. So this wattage here is essentially what all of the other testers are giving you as well. It's a no load wattage. So this tells us that this specific piece of cabling, 100 meters of Cat 6A cabling, can easily supply 60 watts of power. What the other testers do not do is, if you press and hold the network button, it's going to do a dynamic test. And so essentially the tester is going to add extra resistance to it in 5 wattage intervals to get to the maximum amount of wattage that can be supplied by the power sourcing equipment. So obviously in the first demo, we saw that this particular connection could have 60 watts of power with no load. With a load, we see that it'll actually supply up to 76.9 watts. This is critically important when dealing with long runs of cable. For instance, obviously in the electrical world, the longer the run is, the more voltage drop that you're going to have. So essentially, this is basically allowing you to test all of the infrastructure, the cabling, if the cabling will support the wattage, as well as the power sourcing equipment.
Great, thank you, Scott. So PoE Pro addresses some basic physical layer testing and then also PoE interface and testing. At the other end of the cable spectrum is our new LandTech 4 certifier. So certification is for the commercial project work, government, education, a lot of different markets where they're requiring that the infrastructure be certified to an industry standard. There's reports turned in to either the specification group and or a manufacturer for warranty on the installation. So LandTech 4 is some really cool new features. We won't go into a ton of detail here, but I'll give you a quick overview, and then again, Scott will give us a live demo. It is the newest certifier on the market. It's been out for less than a year, has all the upgrades you would expect with a touch screen, large bright screen, really intuitive user interface. It will certify all the way up to the newest CAT 8.1 or 8.2 standard, and actually sweep beyond that all the way to 3 gigahertz, so really future-proofing your investment. It does have a super fast test time of 7 seconds for Cat 5e, 6, and 6a, faster than the competition, also includes all the measurements. Our patented VisiLink adapter, which I believe Scott will show you, is the LED light at the end of the permanent link adapter where you actually are plugging into a port. It gives you light to illuminate what you're doing, gives you an indication you're connected to the other unit, and then a green or a red light to indicate that you've passed or failed that test once it's completed. You can have a direct link to a label printer and generate your label right in the field. The test reports are managed in our Ideal Anywhere Cloud system. And again, there's a little screenshot on this slide, and Scott might have time to give you a quick demo. A really cool feature is TeamViewer functionality. So some of you might use TeamViewer for IT support, other remote applications. Because LandTech 4 can enable TeamViewer, that means someone like Scott Todd can remote in and help support your tester when you're in the field if you have a question or you're having an issue or you don't understand a result. We have all sorts of bundling options and trade discounts, couple different models, fiber adapters, all sorts of accessories. So let me go ahead and turn that over to Scott.
Okay. See if I can bring up. There we go. So this is the Anywhere Cloud, and another key feature of the cloud is the ability to be able to pre-configure all your jobs in the cloud. So essentially, without even, as long as you have the, know the dynamics of the environment that you're going to be testing, this allows you to basically put all of the job format information into the tester without even stepping onto the property. So I've got a special interface that allows me to connect the tester so that you can see it here. But essentially, this is my LandTech 4 tester screen. So I'm currently in a new job, and essentially this is to show you how easy it is. So I'm going to go up and click on the plus button to add a job. And we'll add some copper. And in the tester, you can pre-configure all of your test standards. So essentially, if you know that all of the testing on a specific job is going to be Cat 6a, certification, obviously you can put that into the tester, and then this allows you to be able to set up everything accordingly. Same thing in terms of your testing. Obviously here it's set up test range from 1 to 24. So obviously it's pre-configured, mine is pre-configured for a 24 port patch panel, since that's typically what's out there. In the event that you are doing certification on 48 port or 96 port patch panels, obviously it's very simple to change that testing range. In the prefix, obviously I can change the prefix to anything I want. If I were testing in a fiber world, obviously maybe I'd change this to strand and change my range from 1 to 12. But essentially this allows me to put anything in there that I want. So for this demo, let's see, and it gives me a rough look at what the cable ID is going to look at. So obviously port, no space, 01. I'm going to put a single space in there. So essentially that means all of my cable IDs are going to look exactly the same. Port, space, 01 to 24. And go ahead. And previously, where, you know, or in a circumstance where you had to label individually, you might be spelling errors, or if two technicians were on the job, maybe one technician is labeling all lowercase, one technician is labeling uppercase, spaces, no spaces. This allows you to seamlessly get everything labeled exactly the same and nice and professional. So we've got 24 tests in there, and we're gonna do some testing here. Let me turn on my remote. I can't show you the VisiLink adapter as Wendy alluded to. However, essentially, there are a couple of videos out there that do showcase it. Essentially, there's an LED in the permanent link adapter of the tester. And so if the tester if the display handset is not connected to the remote handset, does not sense any continuity whatsoever, if I press and activate the button on the permanent link adapter, that LED is going to glow white. So essentially I can use it as a flashlight in a dark closet. If when I plug it into a patch panel, if it establishes a connection with the remote handset, then I've got multiple different indicators to let me know that I am connected. So just 1 second here. I'm powering up the remote handset, ran out of battery. Battery life on the testers is very long. In traditional, typical testing, you can easily last 8 hours in terms of battery life. Let's do.
While Scott is booting that up, I'll just mention, because it came up this week, this is Landtech 4, so it is the 4th generation of our.
We lost your audio, Wendy.
I think we might have lost Wendy.
Yeah, so Scott, it's your job to dance until she comes back. Now she's looking more fluid down there.
I went away. Anyway, I'll turn it back to Scott.
We didn't hear a word you said after Land Tech 4.
Oh, all right. Well, I was chatting away to myself. Just letting everyone know that the prior generation, LandTech 3, is also still available as a new tester, but the cloud software supports LandTech 3 as well. So the test results from the prior generation can be imported into the same platform that customers are using for their new LandTech 4s.
Yeah. I think I'm almost there.
That's okay. I can boot up noises. The testers have a lot of audible to let you know that they're powering on, they're powering off, pass, fail, they're partnered and connected, and then they have the visible as well.
There we go. So obviously, back to the VisiLink adapter. So once the remote handset is connected to display handset, there is a audible link. There's a blue LED on the screen just above the display screen here. You don't see it on this screen. And a blue LED in the permanent link adapter to let you know that you are connected. That way, if you are in a loud data center, essentially, you might not hear the audible, but essentially right in your hand is the LED of this permanent link adapter to let you know that there is some form of continuity from the display handset to the remote handset. Also, in the tester, obviously, the tester is a Linux-based platform, but basically it's kind of set up the same thing as your cell phone. So if I swipe down from the top, it gives me a live wire map here. So I can see exactly what's happening, and this is the same situation. If I disconnect, and let's put in this link, and so now I know that pin 3 is open here. Essentially, with a little bit more diagnostics, I can find out exactly where. For instance, let's just run a quick test. Into there. Through some technical difficulties, right? What you see up here in the top screen for battery percentage, essentially the left 100% is my display handset. The remote is currently at 3%. That's actually preventing me from testing here. But essentially, let's let that continue to charge, I guess, a little bit, and I'll go into the cloud. So essentially, one of the nice features of the cloud is that it allows for fleet management as well. There's a portion of the cloud that allows you to input all your device IDs, and essentially this way I can see exactly when each of them is due for calibration, when's the last time that they were connected to the cloud. And for instance, I can log in and see which software is currently loaded on there. So let's see, this guy, 429, this guy is still at 1.31. So essentially I can call up that technician and tell him to update that firmware on that tester because it's not the current firmware. So if I go into job management, obviously when I upload test results to the test from the tester to the cloud, this is essentially where they're going to show up. And I can go into view all of that test data. What I can also do, or what's unique about Ideal Networks tester here, is the fact that for all testing, obviously if you certify Cat 5e, it's certified to 100 megahertz. If you certify Cat 6, it's certified to 250 megahertz. Certified Cat 6a, it's certified to 500 megahertz. What we do is for every grade below Cat 6a, we capture all 500 megahertz of data. So essentially, if a technician goes onto the job site and mistakenly puts in that he's testing the cable to Cat 5e standard, but that cable actually needed to be tested to Cat 6a, in a traditional realm, you'd have to send that technician back out to do the job correctly. In this circumstance, we can do it on the back end. So essentially, what you see here is, let's put a few more rows in here. So on this floor, patch panel 2, we can see that we've got a passing result, but this is category 6. It was certified to category 6. If that job was truly supposed to be certified to category 6A, I can just hit a tick mark there, go back up to the top, and we've got this 2 arrows chasing each other. Hit that button, and it's going to ask me, what do I want to recertify this as? So obviously, North America, typically ANSI TIA, permanent link, and we'll certify this to a Cat 6A standard. So it's going to, like I said, for all circumstances, 500 megahertz and below is captured. If for some, if you are testing category 8 cabling, category 8 is certified to 2000 megahertz, so same situation. What's actually captured is 3000 megahertz and below if you have the 3000 megahertz tester. So essentially this allows us to come back and do the recertification on the back end. Oops, let's refresh. And this is that recertified cable. So essentially it took all of the information that was originally captured and just extended it and applied the Cat 6A parameters. What you see here is obviously same naming convention, RC standing for recertified, and Bolegs 1. So essentially this is the first copy of this. Obviously, I could recertify it again into an ISO standard if I had to meet, an international standard. But essentially, it's the same principle. So, in terms of adding jobs or pre-configuring from the cloud, what I can do is from the job screen, if I just click on the plus button, And we'll just demo. Obviously, this also allows you to put a whole bunch of customers in there as well. So essentially it maintains a customer database. That way when you do your reporting, all your customers' names are already in there. This is what we were dealing with before, where you saw the floor and patch panel. So this custom identifiers tab allows us to put more fine-grained metadata into the testing. So if I were doing a multi-floor, multi-closet job, essentially I can capture all of this information in the testing as well. And all of that is going to, number one, help the technician on the job site, because essentially if you've got multiple patch panels and all of them are labeled exactly the same, the technician on the job site might not easily be able to differentiate between the two. However, if we put in there that this is for floor 1, patch panel 1, obviously the technician on the job site knows where to begin testing, and everything is nice and easy. So we'll set the preliminary configurations for that job and resort this. And once I go into that job, now I can add tests. So fiber or copper. And this is where we set up our standard. So obviously you've got a whole bunch of preset naming conventions here. You can also choose custom to put in any name whatsoever. So obviously if I'm just certifying access points and go, access points 1 through 24, and down at the bottom, you can see exactly the naming convention as it's going to be shown. A/P, no space, 01. Obviously, if I don't like that, I want a space in between there, I can put anything I want. AP space. And now sets our naming convention. So in terms of the testing, obviously choose your standard link model. Permanent link is most common, and our test limit. Let's say that this is, since these are access points, we'll call this a Cat6a MPTL test. MPTL stands for Modular Plug Terminated Link, and essentially this is what you are typically installing for access points or IP camera systems, where your female interface at the patch panel and male modular plug in the field. And then UTP, and set our NVP. You also do have the capability of, obviously for the cable manufacturer, I just entered generic. But if you are using a specific brand, obviously this gives you the capability of putting their brand name on there, as well as if their specific part number for that cabling. Let's see if that's in there. And then setting up our metadata. Floor 1, patch panel 1, create. There's 24 tests. If I've got multiple, the system remembers all of my previous setups. So essentially it allows me to very easily go through. This is floor 2, panel 1. Add. Floor 2, panel 2. So very easily, it has the ability of creating multiple test locations. Everything is professionally, everything looks exactly the same. Little extra metadata there to be able to differentiate between the two. So obviously this is going to help the project manager in terms of monitoring. It's going to help the technician on the job site to be able to know which patch panel he's plugging into. It's also helping the end receiver of that job certification, because essentially this is denoting exactly where that is. So once I have all that set up, essentially I can take my Lantec tester and synchronize to the cloud and be able to download that from the cloud. So I go back to the home screen on my tester and hit synchronize. And now I'm downloading from Anywhere Cloud. Tester is not currently connected to Wi-Fi, but it's automatically going to remember the last 10 access points that I connected to, and it's going to go out and find that access point and connect. I only want to download a selected job. And so here's my 72 tests. And so now it's downloading all of those tests from the cloud onto the tester. Let's try that again. Technical difficulties. The tester actually rebooted. Let's try that again.
Scott, since we only have a couple of minutes left,
Gotcha.
you're having synchronizing challenges.
Sometimes it gets a
There
little.
it is, yeah.
There we go. Technology does not want to work for me today.
That's okay.
So anyway, I've done a whole bunch of videos about Lantec, and there's some training sessions on YouTube as well as my webinars channel. You can get to that from our website. But now I'm going to go into, I'll bring back the PowerPoint and
we'll wrap it up so we have time for a Q&A at the end. Yep. So thank you for that on Lantec 4, aside from a couple of technical difficulties. The other one product that we wanted to point out, because ADI does sell a lot of this particular tester, is our Secure Test IP camera installation tester. So it's an all-in-one unit, powers up the camera, it's the monitor, you can program and configure the camera, all of your settings, pan, tilt, zoom. You can use the browser in the tester to go to the website for your camera, do your configuration there. generate a report. It's got a ton of other functions, cable testing, TDR, quality of the pairs. You can use it on analog cameras, has some HDMI functions, and we really feel this is best in class. Now, we didn't make it to ISC West this year, but normally at the ISC shows, customers come up and tell us how great this product is, how much it has helped them in the field, how much time it's saved, and how much better it is than any similar product that they've tried. We really spent a long time updating and enhancing the interface and the software. So the tester really does respond better than, again, comparable units you might see in the field. So that is, I think ADI even probably has this in stock, but if you go to the next slide, I think, yeah, we do have a lot. Well, Scott has been putting out a lot of product overviews and training videos. And as he mentioned, any web page at Ideal Networks, you can go to the top right corner and click on the webinar link, or you can find us on YouTube. So there's a whole series of webinars, including, and 2 of them are highlighted there at the bottom of the screen, specifically on the secure test IP, as well as the LandTech 4. So if you just want a refresher, you're thinking about purchasing a tester, you're not sure it's the right product for you, absolutely, this is a great way to get a live demo. Go ahead to the next screen. There we go.
Sorry.
That's okay. Okay, and we also started a promotion, so I don't have the version of this with ADI's logo on it yet, but we will shortly. And I know some of the branches are starting to open and curbside pickup, et cetera, but this promotion is on our website. And again, you also be able to access it through your local ADI sales rep, and it offers free product rewards for qualifying purchase for some very essential testers that are being used today to keep critical infrastructures up and running, devices connected, and at the end of the promotion, Ideal Networks will be making a donation to the World Health Organization COVID Fund. And I think that is the end of our slides, so we really appreciate everyone's attendance. Again, we do have local coverage at the branches. We have a lot of reps in the field. We have a lot of corporate resources as well, including Scott and myself. So you're welcome to reach out to our general mailbox directly to me. Everybody have a safe weekend. And now I will turn it over to Mike McCary with ADI and their enterprise connectivity team. You want to flip one more screen, Scott, and Mike, you are on.
Thank you, Wendy. I appreciate your time. And Scott, great presentation. I want to thank everybody for joining us today. For those of you who don't know, the Enterprise Connectivity Group within ADI is a relatively new group. We have a dedicated sales team and tech support for telecommunications structured cabling type products, including all the test equipment that we just went through. So if you haven't reached out to your Enterprise Connectivity representative, they will get a list of the attendees here today, and they will probably reach out to you. Anything that we can answer from a telecommunications structured cabling standpoint, that is our focus. We're an adjunct to the security sales team and the AV sales team. But again, our focus is the telecommunications structured cabling part of the business, and we are here to help. So we appreciate your time today. Thank you for your business, and I hope everybody has a safe and happy holiday weekend. Thanks again.
We do have a couple questions though. Scott, one of the questions was on the secure test IP, if that connects to SDI cameras.
It does not connect to SDI cameras. So TVI, AHD, CVBS. So these are the formats. SDI is not supported by our tester.
Yeah. And then another question was if the Signal Tech NT can be traded in for a certifier. Currently, that is not an eligible trade. We do take back any actual certifier, but Signal Tech NT is not considered a certifier. But definitely reach out to us because we do have some great deals on those as well. And let's see, while Scott is booting up. Okay, there's a question about the modular plug test. That's the MPTL standard that Scott referenced, I believe, and that was Phil that asked that question. So that is a different standard. It requires different adapters on the tester, and it specifically addresses the application of punch down on a panel at the closet end, and then a field terminated plug, male end, same category as the cable and connectivity at the front end, direct plug into a device. So that's the MPTL standard, and it's actually measuring that connection itself. I don't know if that answers your question or not. We do have a quick reference guide and a white paper, I believe, on our website. And ideal networks in the New Jersey, New York regions. Hello, Joe. That is my region, and depending on what part of New Jersey, we have 2 different rep groups, and the state of New York is covered by Private Network Technologies. There are 4 different people. So I can hook you up with those. I think I'll get your email after this, and I can let you know who that is. So those were the questions that came up in the chat, and Scott's been showing you the live demo of Secure Test IP for our last few minutes.
Yeah, essentially the tester,
Go
obviously
ahead, Scott, if you wanted to jump in. Oh, who is that?
Yeah, obviously this is not the typical camera system that you're typically testing in a surveillance environment, but basically this is a force protection camera, DoD use. So essentially the tester has full capability to be able to not only, obviously I can go into the menu and set my network settings. I can set any of the video settings. In ONVIF, what's allowed in ONVIF is specific to the manufacturer in the firmware installed in the camera system. So every single ONVIF camera is going to have a little bit different capabilities. This specific camera does allow me to set Ptz waypoints, so I can very easily set a waypoint, label this A, set that prefix, and essentially it's there. So the camera system will set the Ptz waypoints. Then we can go into document. I can create a test report. Obviously, document the job on the left, company and user information on the right. I can put in a company logo, and I can choose different photos. So obviously the tester does have the capability of taking video as well as photo images. This particular camera system is also infrared. So essentially I have the secondary, the IR feed going into my NTSC BNC analog video. So essentially this allows me the capability of being able to document that as well. So in the event that you do need IRE video levels, I can very easily capture that information, put it into my ONVIF report. Just put this image in there, create a test report, name it. And essentially it makes it very easy to be able to configure and document all of your installations. So once it's in there, it's a document, highlight, preview, PDF, and then it's Dropbox is on the tester by default, so I can use Dropbox to transfer this to customers. but essentially this allows me to, you can see the tester information, camera information, network information, image information, and if you add photos, you can add up to 6 photos. So essentially that allows you to add, left limit, right limit, top limit, bottom limit, zoom, and wide photos to your test report. So in the event that you don't have Dropbox, you can still use the tester to be able to connect to the internet and go to your Gmail, Ymail, whichever email is that you use, and email it to your customer. All right.
I didn't see any other questions come up.
Okay.
Ready to stay on if anybody else has a question about any of the testers that we covered in detail or anything else that you might be looking for.
This also allows me to go to the web browser of the camera very easily. So essentially I can get into that FLIR interface and be able to, obviously all configuration from the web interfaces. The web interface is going to have much more detailed fine-grained configuration capabilities. All your motion controls. Obviously, this one I can view both the IR feed as well as the daylight TV camera. If I go into my IR feed, then I can change some of my settings in there as well. White hot, black hot. Ultimately, like I said, all that can be done from the tester very easily. The tester itself will supply up to 24 watts of power in the event that you're dealing with higher power camera systems. Like this one actually has a much higher requirement. So I actually applied power differently. It's applied by AC voltage, but you can also use the tester as a pass-through. So essentially supplying higher voltage or higher wattage capability passing through this tester, as well as connecting this tester to an inline passive injector, supplying a higher wattage of power as well. So a lot of capabilities built in. If you do have any questions, feel free to reach out to Wendy or myself.
Great, and I don't think there are any other questions, Mike, so.
Well, thank you, Wendy. Thank you, Scott. I certainly appreciate you all getting on and spending an hour with us. For those in attendance, you have a lot of choices. We always appreciate that you choose ADI.